The so-called zero bail bill is back on the docket for the California Assembly. The bill would now cap, rather than eliminate, the amount of money people must pay to get out of jail. The bill would also require bail companies to return most of the money if the charges are dropped. The Assembly's legislative session ends on August 31st, so we could see this come up for a vote today or tomorrow. And joining us now to discuss this is Jeff Clayton, Executive Director of the American Bail Coalition. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being with us.
It's a pleasure. Thanks.
And so we talked a little bit about what the bill would do, but can you further explain to our viewers?
Absolutely. The biggest impact of this bill is that all the counties in California are going to have to pay for pretrial services. So when we have wealthy individuals getting multiple time DUIs and having to put an interlock device in their car, the counties are going to have to pay for that now. And the impact of that is going to be a dramatic reduction in the supervision of hardened criminal defendants in California. They're not going to be on house arrest. They're not going to be GPS monitors, and they're going to show back up at the victim's house. So we don't know what the impact is going to be, but we estimate it's going to be probably a 25 to 30% drop in the amount of available services for defendants that we want to stay supervised. These are hardened defendants that we want to watch.
And now, Jeff, supporters would say that this is about making the bail system more fair to people who can't afford bail. You might have two people suspected of the same crime, but one person gets released because they have the means, they can afford it, while the other person doesn't. How do you respond to that?
Well, in this case, you get a refund if your case is dismissed, which sounds good. We think that's good. However, that creates a strong economic disincentive to bail out the innocent and a strong incentive to bail out the guilty. So this legislation flips the presumption of innocence completely on its head and is going to drive the results that we don't want, which is more guilty defendants getting out with less pretrial supervision.
And another argument supporters would make is that this will help fight potential predatory practices from bail bond companies. Right now, if you're arrested and you need to pay $5,000 for your $50,000 bail, even if those charges are dropped, you don't get that money back. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and that's sort of the freedom to contract of why we allow defendants to post just a financial guarantee from a third party rather than having to post the whole bail. So without the bail industry in California, I doubt that anyone can get out. There's been a lot of litigation over predatory practices. I think we're getting there, and I think those lawsuits have gone through the court system, and all the appropriate legislation is in place to eliminate predatory practices.
And so, Jeff, we know you're not in favor of this bill, but do you think there is anything about the bail system that should change?
Oh, absolutely. We've supported any number of pieces of legislation over the years, like making the bail schedules more fair, maybe even reducing them, making them more consistent across California. We've advocated for improving due processes, so when poor individuals can't afford their bail, they can get in front of a judge faster and get alternatives. So we're all about changing California. We just, we've been fighting, the same group of senators for the last 6 years that are bent on proceeding forward in a fashion that's just really not good for California.
And what are you hearing? Are you anticipating a vote today or tomorrow on this?
Absolutely. I mean, I think if these proponents of the legislation have the votes, we could see it as early as tonight. It's 199th on the agenda, so could certainly be a late one.
And in what way, in what direction do we see this vote going?
Well, I think it's hanging on a couple of votes. So at this point, I don't think anybody knows. I know that lobbyists down at the Capitol are counting votes on both sides. So we're going to find out here pretty soon.
All right. Jeff Clayton from the American Bail Coalition, thank you so much for joining us and kind of walking us through that explanation. We appreciate it.
You bet. Have a great day.
You too.